Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into an incredible edition of the JP Peterson Show. We are so jacked up about this show. We got superstar guests everywhere. It's game day here in Tampa Bay, baby. Game one tonight. I got my Lightning hat on. Got my my number one BS shirt from Nikita Kucherov last time we won the cup.
I got my Stars hat on to counter your Tampa Bay hat.
Oh, what a game last night. Oh, NHL playoffs is crazy good.
How about that?
Brian Bradley's going to join us for the morning skate. Scott Reynolds is going to join us to talk a little NFL draft. But we're starting off the top of the show with the man, the myth, the icon, NFL insider, Hall of Famer, the great Sal Paolantonio. What's up, Sal Pal? How are you?
Oh, man, I thought you forgot about me, my brother. What's happening? I haven't been on your show since the Super Bowl. I got paid. Put on that paid no never mind list. You know, Joe Pesci and Goodfellas, how'd they get on that list? What's happening?
Oh,
By the way, I have gone to Lightning games. The first Lightning game that I went to, I was blown away. I really was. Because I grew up on Long Island with the Nassau Coliseum, Islanders, and then, of course, I went to Ranger games at Madison Square Garden. I'm telling you, Tampa is a hockey town big time when the Lightning are playing. It's amazing.
Yeah, with the exception of that knucklehead they put up on the Jumbotron, it's an incredible show each and every night. Playoff hockey, there's nothing like it. There's absolutely, as you know, the Islanders, that Nassau Coliseum. I mean, come on, that was it. That was it back in the day.
That was it. Back in the day, the Islanders in the 70s and 80s, but they were just so huge. My first job was selling Pepsi at the Nassau Coliseum. That's my first job. That was my first job. I think I was 16, boss. I might have been 15. I might have lied on my working papers.
I bet you did.
I think I lied to make an extra bit of coin. I needed those Converse low tops. You know what I'm saying?
$13 a pair. Remember those Chuck Taylors?
I don't know where you were getting them. I was getting them hot on 34th Street for $8.
See, I was getting them at Sears. At the Hollywood Mall, and I'd save up my pennies from mowing lawns. Oh yeah, JP's Lawn Service, absolutely. And then when I'd get my $13. I think it was 18 cents, and I'd run down and I'd get because I'd wear them out. Every a month and a half, 2 months. My Chuck E. T's were worn out, so I had to get new ones.
Here's the beautiful thing, my brother. We're still working. We're still working. You know, and that's it. I had 3 jobs when I was 12 years old, and we're still working.
Isn't that crazy, man? It's a different. My 12-year-old stepson can't make his own lunch. And we were my dad was delivering the LA Times. He was a manager delivering it when he was 10 years old. He'd wake up at 4:00 in the morning to go deliver the LA Times in Pasadena at 10 years old. Oh my God. Life has changed, my friend. Life has changed. How are you?
How's life down in my home away from home, Tampa Bay?
It's never been more beautiful. We've had about 30 days of consistent sunshine and 65 to 75 degrees. Feels like California. It's been fantastic. But we miss you. I know you've been hanging out with Joe Piscopo, and you're now in every Italian Hall of Fame there is in the entire 50 states. So you've been busy. So I didn't want to bother you, but it's draft time now. It's time to get back to work.
It absolutely is. And this is my 30th draft with ESPN, and we just finished taping the NFL matchup show with the great Greg Cosell and the incomparable Darius Butler, and that is streaming on ESPN Plus, our special draft show for the NFL matchup team. And we start out looking at the quarterbacks, and it's really interesting. It's such a copycat league, as you know. JP, and you look at how the Eagles won the Super Bowl. They did it with a second quarterback drafted in the second round.
Yep.
And a defensive line that got after the quarterback without blitzing. I'm telling you, That's the formula right now is you got to get yourself enough pass rushers who can win one-on-one matchups and beat the double team if necessary. And that's what the Eagles did against Patrick Mahomes II and then Andy Reid and Kansas City Chiefs offense. So that's what teams are kind of try to do this year is find value, because you look at this draft, right, JP?
Mm-hmm.
I have a blue chip grade on just 5 guys. 5. That's it. Normally you go 12 or 15 deep. I got it on 5 guys. I got it on and let's see. Travis Hunter defense, Abdul Carter defense, Mason Graham out of Michigan defense. The running back Ashton Genty of Boise State, I got him as a blue chip top 5 grade, and then Malachi Starks I have from Georgia at safety. This is a Todd Bowles draft if there ever was one. This is a draft made for Toddy.
Yeah, and he knows those Georgia players because his son was playing there. We love the Georgia players. Got Tyke Smith last year, and I think there's some Georgia players, Malachi Starks being one of them, on the radar. Jalen Walker obviously probably be gone. Michael Williams may be there for him. I like him as an edge rusher for the Bucs. Sal, I see edge, first 3, and then corner, and then inside linebacker. I think that's where they're looking. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, the corner situation is interesting because McCollum really developed into a pretty good corner option for the Bucs, and I think he'll take care of one of the starting jobs in 2025. For Jamal, he's played well, but his health has been a major problem for the past couple of years. So I could see Bolsey adding a corner that gives them some insurance and an option to develop alongside Dean and McCall. So I think that to me is the way that he'll probably go is edge and corner for sure.
I agree. And when you look at these edge rushers, and like you said, copycat league, you got to get a pass rush. And Bowles has said, he's tried to manufacture pass rushes the last few years. He can't get any pressure with 4. And in the end, that's what undid this team against Washington is they held on to the ball for the final 4.5 minutes. You can't, they got no pressure with 4 at any point this year. And it's just a constant, he's dropping pass rushers into coverage, trying to manufacture. And it hurt the Bucs big time. The 29th in pass defense. They got to get a pass rush. Which one of these edge guys do you really like that might be there, you think?
Well, I think you're right. And I think edge is the way to go. I think Mike Green could be available at 19. Yeah. Mike Green's the edge rusher out of Marshall.
Yeah.
Yep. Nick Scouridon could be there, although he might go a little earlier than Mike Green for sure. Those 2 guys in the middle of the first round. And talk about a Georgia guy, Mikel Williams out of Georgia is a good edge rusher.
Yep.
But I don't see him getting past your old friend Raheem Morris with the Falcons at 15. I just don't see that happening. But in this draft, JP, from talking to scouts and general managers and coaches and guys who do this for a living full-time all year round, there's probably 20. They're looking at 20 to 22 edge rushers and defensive tackles that have a first or second round grade in this draft. This is a very deep D-line draft. And you mentioned the one guy that I love, and that's Jalen Walker out of Georgia. I think he is, those Georgia D tackles, we got 2 of them here in Philadelphia, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. And you look at him, he's thick. He's fast. He's got great length. He's got speed to power. I mean, if you can get him, if he's sitting there at 19,
you grab.
I don't think Bowles lets him get past 19. I think he grabs him, don't you?
Absolutely. And I think when the Bucs have won Super Bowls, they had JPP, right? And they had a cat by the name of Simeon Rice, who's going to be announcing their picks on day 2. So go say hello to Simeon. Tell him JP said hello. He's the best. Get an interview with him.
I love Simeone, and I've always thought that he deserved Hall of Fame conversation.
I agree. Oh, coming from you, that means something. That means something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always thought that he deserved to be in. But, that Bucs Tampa 2 defense under Monty Kiffin's got so many guys.
Yep.
You got Barber, John Lynch, and, of course, Sapp and Derek Brooks. And it's tough to sell. By the way, there should be assistant coaches should be under consideration for busts. Tom Moore,
absolutely.
Monty Kiffin, Bud Carson. Boy, oh boy, I don't see how Buddy Ryan's not in the Hall of Fame.
Right?
Only put together the defense that stopped Johnny Unitas in Super Bowl III, and then probably the greatest defense in Super Bowl history in 1985. So I think these assistant coaches get shortchanged.
Well, you're the man to get that done, Sal Pal. So let's get on that, especially with, Monty is beloved here, and I believe absolutely, when you come up with a defense like the Tampa 2 that stands the test of time, they're still running it. And I'll put that, I love that Bears defense, no question, but I'll put that Bucs defense with 4 Hall of Famers and Tony Dungy, who kind of developed it with Monty as a 5th Hall of Famer. I'll put that defense up against just about any defense in the history of the game. So all great ideas. All right, so getting back to this defense, again, 29th in pass defense, corner, edge rusher, and inside linebacker. I think every mock draft has Jahadi Campbell going to the Buccaneers, and he can, he might be a guy that you could put out on the edge. He's 6'3", he's 235, he's a game wrecker. Now he's got a labrum surgery that's probably going to keep him out of all the off season, but could be back for September. What do you think of that? Do you have him as a blue chipper, Jahad Campbell?
Yeah, I do, but I'm always leery of guys who have injuries in that part of your body if you're going to play in that position. So I in the first round, I think you have to absolutely make sure that you're locked in. And then Jahadi Campbell, second round, if you can get him at 50, what are you talking about, 53? Is that the spot you're looking at?
I think so,
yeah. I mean, that's probably a good value at that spot. Bolsey's desperate for pass rush.
Yep.
You did pick up Hassan Reddick, my guy, and his career went off the rails.
You like him?
In New York.
You think he has a big year?
I love him. I think he's great. I think he's a great teammate. I think he's great. Everything about him. The Jets' reclamation projects are well documented. Look what the Eagles did with Mekhi Becton.
Yeah.
With the right coaching, the right attitude. You just mentioned that 60 days straight or whatever it is, 190 days straight of sunshine. By the way, the Northeast weather has been just horrible. You hurt me on that one, buddy. I mean, I was only down there once.
Waiting for you, baby.
I gotta get down, and I gotta get down there to visit soon for sure. But hopefully the weather will turn here at some point. But you get that weather, you get no income tax. It has a way of in the free state of Florida, it has a way of working things for you.
Yeah, everybody's here. By the way, Cesar says over at Cafe Paradiso and Paolantonio, they say hello. They're already in the comments here. Say Sal's the best. So your favorite Italian restaurants are waiting for you here as well.
Those guys are fantastic. If I'm coming to Clearwater, which I am, with my wife, which we always are, we celebrate our anniversary in Clearwater. We're going to Caesars on the Beach.
Yes, sir.
For sure.
Yes, sir.
It's a great spot. I recommend it to everybody. I say that's the best Italian food in the state of Florida by far. Not even close.
And his son Paulo runs Cafe Paradiso, which is one of our great local
Paradiso is a great location.
Fantastic.
Great location. We love that place. He's a great guy, and it's a great location. Fantastic.
We're going to have to put that in the next ad right there. I'm going to take that clip. All right, so let's look at the draft as a whole, which you will be covering.
Hey, wait a minute now. You got to put me in the next ad. Now you got to take me to that spot next time I'm in town.
Absolutely. Dinner's on Paulo. Are you kidding me? I mean, on me. Absolutely.
After you run me around on the tennis court, I'm going to need a little pasta. I'm going to need a little sustenance, some carbs to regain my energy, for sure.
Yeah,
I'm going to be with the Giants on draft day. I'll be there tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday with the Giants.
Okay.
And I think the number 3 pick in the first round is the sweet spot of this draft.
Yep.
It's the pivot point. Because the Giants are faced with the number 1 question of this draft. Is Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders ready for prime time? I think that's the key question.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's hard to pass up on Sanders because he has some traits that I think really work in the NFL right now, which is toughness and durability and game management, which is important. He doesn't turn the ball over. He has obviously things he's going to have to coach up. But to me, JP, it's tough to pass on Sanders, but I think it's professional malpractice to pass up Abdul Carter. To me, he's the number 1 player in this draft.
So what do they do? What do you think the Giants are going to do? I think you're right about Abdul Carter. So I think they're going quarterback because they always make the wrong decision.
Are we assuming here? Are we assuming here that the Browns are taking Hunter at 2? Is that our assumption with the Giants?
It is our assumption, okay. But I don't. It's hard to assume things in this draft because there isn't really, after Cam Ward, an absolute pick. I have Hunter slightly below Carter in a grade, but you can't go Carter if you just paid all of that money to your homegrown pass rusher in Cleveland.
Right.
So if you're the Giants, you take Carter at 3, then you try to move back into the first round for Jackson Dart, the quarterback out of Ole Miss. And if you're telling me that the Giants get Carter and Dart in round 1, that JP, then I'm telling you, John Mara is going to finally get some of that sleep he lost after Saquon jumped to my town, Philly.
I don't think he'll ever sleep again, actually, after that disaster.
I don't know. The Nittany Lion may help him sleep tonight. What was that called? The Lion sleeps tonight.
That's right.
Might get Mara to have an extra couple of Z's after passing up on Saquon. But, yeah, I know Saquon had a career year that no one has ever seen before.
Unbelievable. So do you think even with Jameis and Russell sitting in that quarterback room that they're going to take Shedeur Sanders?
No, what I'm saying, it's going to be hard to pass up on Sanders.
Yeah.
But it'll be professional malpractice to pass on Abdul Carter. Right. But like you said, the Giants seem to have focused on professional malpractice by letting
very good at it.
Leave town.
They're very good at that.
Seems to have been their MO.
Yeah.
I just think Carter, he wears number 11. He's modeled his game on Micah Parsons. And like I said, did you see the Super Bowl? The Eagles beat the Chiefs with superior pass rush.
Yeah.
And I think all around the league, I think GMs, scouts, coaches, Bolsey, your guy Todd, your GM there, he's done such a terrific job putting that team together. They're all looking for pass rushers.
Yes.
Especially pass rushers who can win one-on-one matchups and demand a double team. Fangio did not blitz once in the Super Bowl, and yet they tormented Patrick Mahomes the second.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's because, pass rushers won one-on-one matchups because Jalen Carter was the most double-team player in the Super Bowl since Aaron Donald dominated the Bengals offensive line. By the way, Carter, about to become a very rich man. I think he'll be the highest paid defensive player in NFL history. He had the most double teams of any defensive lineman in the league in 2004. In fact, he broke the record of the most double teams for a D lineman since they've been keeping that stat for about 10 years.
Well,
incredible.
So you said the pivot point for number 3 of the Giants. Do you think the story of this draft is going to be Shedeur Sanders falling down the board? And if it is, how far does he fall? Does he go past the Steelers? Does he go past at 9 the Saints? Would the Saints take Shedeur Sanders? There's a lot of talk about that. How far would he fall?
Well, like I said, so there aren't very many blue chippers.
Mm-hmm.
So then the pivot point is at 3, and Ashton Genty, if he's picked early, that'll be a big story. And then people will start to pile on Shedeur Sanders. How far is he going to fall? A la Aaron Rodgers. And that may be the reason, JP, that Shedeur Sanders is not coming to Green Bay to the draft, because he doesn't want to be stuck in the green room, looking down at his toes while they try to interview him about whether or not he's, because that won't be a good look for him.
Remember how awkward it was for Will Levis a couple years ago?
Really
awkward.
Terrible. Yeah. It's still been awkward for poor Mr. Will Levis for sure. But I think, if the Saints don't take him at 9, Bears don't need him, Niners, Cowboys, could the Dolphins take him at 13? Maybe. Then you go Falcons, Cardinals, Bengals, Seahawks. Could the Seahawks take him at 18? Bucks won't take him. They got my guy Baker.
That's right.
Broncos won't take him. Steelers could at 21, maybe.
Yep.
Rams. Rams like Jackson Dart. The teams that I heard like Jackson Dart are the Giants and the Rams. Those are the 2 teams, and maybe the Steelers. Those are the 3 teams. So the Giants, if Jackson Dart starts to fall, JP, to the point where he's at, like, let's say the Steelers don't take him at 21, and the Chargers, Packers, Vikings, and Texans are on the clock in the next 4 picks. That's where the Giants could jump up ahead of the Rams to take Jackson Dart.
Yeah, and get back in. Well, if the Giants leave with Abdul Carter and a quarterback, they may have finally a pulse, and that'll be a big story. So, do you sense that the Giants want to get back into that first round?
I do, and I think their focus is Jackson Dart. From what I'm hearing around the league, Brian Daboll loves Jackson Dart, loves him. And, no team has done more work, spent more time scouting, meeting, and visiting with Shedeur Sanders than the New York Giants. The general manager, Joe Shane, has practically lived in Boulder. He's trying to convince himself the Giants draft Sanders, trying to convince the rest of the team to take him maybe at 3. But according to the people I am talking to around the league, the Giants are still not ready to pick Sanders at 3, if at all, and that they will pick Carter at 3 and then try to jump back into the first round to maybe take Jackson Dart if they can, somewhere between 22 and 25. Because if you don't want to go too high, because then you're basically defeating the purpose of not taking Sanders at 3, right? Because you don't want to push the issue. That the fastest way to make a bad situation worse is to press the issue and reach for a quarterback.
Right. How do you feel about Jackson? How does Greg Cosell, how do your guys feel about Jackson Dart? I've heard some quarterback analysts said he's a one read and run guy. He doesn't have the strongest arm, that he's getting overdrafted. People are looking at him against the better competition. He didn't play that well. Obviously the Giants think he's moving up the board, so people think highly of him. What are you hearing?
A lot of teams have him ahead of Sanders now on their quarterback board.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
I have heard that some teams do value him higher than Shedeur Sanders. If you look at Jackson Dart's frame, 6'2", 223, runs really well, as you mentioned. All-state baseball player, so in high school, so he's a balanced athlete with he's got a sturdy frame. He plays the game confidently. 41 career starts. 38 starts of the 41 were in the SEC.
That's big.
So the competition was there. He was all SEC in 2024, So, I mean, he's, what does that frame and that size and the whole baseball player thing remind you of? It reminds you of the quarterback that Daboll had in Buffalo. I mean, that's just won the MVP. So, I could see the Giants and Brian Daboll falling in love with Jackson Dart, even though some teams have him higher and others, other scouting services like Our Lads, which I've used for 3 decades, project him as a second to third round talent. I don't. I have him as a first round talent.
All right. Well, this is going to be one interesting draft. Any other thoughts that we haven't hit here that you like, your storylines for this week?
Well, we've gone through pasta and football, so those are the top 2 in that order. So I think where else can we go, JP? I think we're in good shape. hope you guys had a blessed Easter, and I hope to get down there to see you soon, my brother.
Absolutely. Same here, Sal Pal. Hope you and your family after this draft, you can get down here and see us, and we'll have a good time at Cafe Paradiso. Caesars ought to be wherever you want to go. We will do it.
Oh,
and,
no, I want
enjoy the
this
weather.
time. I'm looking forward to Cafe Paradiso this time.
Done.
And, yeah, because it's a great spot, and you know I love Tampa to begin with. But if I got JP and Cafe Paradiso, you know, that's definitely what I want on my menu.
Ding, ding, ding. All right, Sal Pal, we love you, brother. We never forget about you. I just don't want to bother you because I know how busy you are all the time. So if you want me to text you every day, I certainly can do that.
He'll do it. Watch out.
And don't forget about Greg Cosell and Darius Butler on the Matchup Show on ESPN Plus. You know, we're the longest running NFL studio show, and I've been hosting it now for 24 years. I say that because, man, I'm damn proud of it. I love that show, and I love being part of it at NFL Films. And sometime I got to get you up to Jersey, and we can hang out some of my Italian spots. And I'll give you a grand tour of NFL Films.
Dude, I would love that.
Wow.
I would love that. Absolutely.
Say the word, and you guys come on up. Bring up the whole crew. Bring everybody up.
God.
Bring the guys up from Cafe Paradiso, Caesars, everybody.
Be careful what you wish for, my friend. We're bringing the whole crew. Thank you, partner. We'll definitely look into that. Thanks, partner. The best, right. Sal Paolantonio.
Thanks, Sal Pal.
That's
there he
great
goes.
Wow,
man. How about that?
Yeah, we got to do that. I've not been to NFL Films.
No.
Get a tour of NFL Films with the great Sal Paolantonio, Greg Cosell, Darius Butler. I love that show because it's no nonsense.
Yeah, I love Greg Cosell and Sal. They're very similar when their deliveries and their analysis because, like you said, it's no nonsense.
There's plenty of shows that got nonsense, and that's fine too. We love to have fun,
like this one.
Exactly. But you know, when I just want to learn about football, which I'm a junkie, a nerd, a film nerd. I can't get enough. I cannot get enough. It is so good. And that's, and this is why the draft is so fascinating because everybody's full of hope and who's going to be that guy that's going to transform your team. And, we focus so much on the top guys, rightfully so.
Yeah.
But how many times do we see, 4th, 5th, 6th rounders, Tom Brady?
Oh yeah.
They become the superstars of this league and you just never know. And when you look at the Bucs and the reason they have a Super Bowl roster right now is because Jason Light is hit on, starters in the 5th round with Zion McCollum and incredible all-pro players in the 4th round with Bucky Irving or 3rd round with Bucky Irving. I mean, it's time and time again. He's hit on other on players that are not first rounders. And we focus so much on the first rounders. The depth of his drafts the last 2 years is the reason the Bucs have a Super Bowl roster. And it's, and also, going out and finding a quarterback on the free agent market. And we talked about this yesterday, and I am now a full-time believer in this. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to focus on quarterback. I'm not going to focus on drafting, giving up 3 picks to jump up in the top 3 to get Shedeur Sanders or even Cam Ward for that matter.
Right.
You got to build your team from the inside out like the Eagles have done. Dominant on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Go get a quarterback in the 2nd round and mold him to your offense. Jalen Hurts. If you got to spice it up with some outside receivers that you can get in free agency, you can do that too. But the premium draft positions are along the line of scrimmage, and that's where Jason Light has lived in the top rounds. And that's where that's how you build a team. That's how the Eagles have done it. And in a lot of ways, that's how the Bucs have done it.
Yeah,
we've
talked about this numerous times on this show because I think you and I are in the same train of thought here that for the teams this season that need a quarterback, right? The Browns, the Giants, the Saints now, if you want to throw them in there, this is not a good quarterback draft,
No,
and there's guys that are going to go high, like Dart or Sanders possibly, that shouldn't, that maybe aren't, all things being equal, probably aren't even 1st round quarterbacks, right? But if you just go and address the needs that you need to address beyond quarterback, whether it's offensive line, defensive end, there's some really good players available where you're going to pick that will fit that position. then you've got your stop. Like the Giants have their stopgap quarterback, right? They've got Russell Wilson. The Browns have their stopgap quarterback. They've got Joe Flacco. Who knows what the Saints are going to do? But
hopefully overreach for a quarterback.
Yeah, go get you an offensive lineman, a stud offensive lineman in the first round, or a stud defensive end in the first round if you're the Browns, or Travis Hunter, and then wait next year when this is a much better, much deeper quarterback class, because you're probably still only going to, if you're the Browns, you're still probably only going to have about 5 or 6 wins anyway, and you'll be fine next year in the draft because it's deep for a quarterback. So these teams that are trying to reach right now, and I don't know if you're the Titans, if Cam Ward's necessarily a reach. I don't think he's the number 1 overall pick, but that's where they are, and that's what they want to do. So it is what it is. But this is not an emergency situation where these teams have to go out and reach for a quarterback in the first round. And some of them are going to do it, though.
Yeah, and the Saints are a perfect example, and so are the Giants. You're not a quarterback away. You've got so many holes on your team. If I were the Giants, if Abdul Carter wasn't such a slam dunk pick at a need position, I would say, hey, I'm looking to trade down. And I would even look to trade down. Somebody wants to come up and get him. If they're going to give me, a first and a second, or 2 firsts and a second, I'm going to pick up a first and a second extra. I got to do that. Your roster sucks. You can remake your roster in one draft if you trade a top pick. If some idiot's going to come up and give you 2 1s and a 2 to get a quarterback, and it's done all the time, the Carolina Panthers. I mean, it's done all the time. And
San Francisco 49ers.
You exactly. I mean, what a disaster. They would have won a Super Bowl had they not done that. And they got their quarterback in the 7th round, the last freaking pick.
Mr. Irrelevant.
God, stop giving up all this draft capital for these quarterbacks that even if it's Trevor Lawrence, you don't know. It's the NFL is such a different game. It's such a different game. It's such a different atmosphere. It's so hard to project these cats. And, Shedeur Sanders, look, as a player, I turn on the tape. I see a very accurate quarterback. I see a guy that can throw off platform. I see a competitor. But there's too much other stuff. And once you start getting into his character I would not, he cannot lead my locker room.
His distractions with all his endorsements. Yeah. That's people underestimate that.
But he is in the Ring of Honor at Colorado now with his 1-8 record against the top 25.
What in the world are they doing up there? Did you see the meme that I saw? I think I retweeted it on X, but it had, of course, Travis Hunter 12, up there, and then it said 2, Deion's kid.
Yeah, Deion's kid, right? Brutal. All right,
that's what I'm afraid of with him. By the way, that's what I'm afraid of, that he's Deion's kid, and without his dad around in the coaching box, it's too much. It's
too much to risk, in my point. And again, if I can do about 10 minutes worth of research with talking to people and students who went to Colorado and get nothing but horrible reports back on these kids, then what do you think the NFL people found out?
Lots more.
A lot more. So I would, but quarterback's a quarterback. You got to, we'll see what happens. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Scott Reynolds is going to join us, and they've gone through 7,000 mock drafts for the Bucs, and they keep coming up with the same guy. And I think it'd be a great pick for the Buccaneers. I think they're spot on. But do the Bucs think that? We will talk about all things Bucs draft with Scott Reynolds when we return. But first, the Jeeves Law Group. We're in this great studio here, this beautiful, great studio at the Jeeves Law Group. If you are involved in an accident, absolutely the first call you got to make is to the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES, lawgroup.com. That is the website. Just call them. They will set you up with everything you need in this accident situation. And, Scott Jeeves has been on the show. We love him. He's a great dude. Don't become just a number at some big firm. When you can go with a local firm, they are local, they are trusted, and they get results. That's says it all right there about the Jeeves Law Group. All right, we'll be back with Scott Reynolds, not attorney spokesman, by the way, Officer St. Pete and Tampa, back in 3. Spring means a time of renewal and Rays baseball, and the folks at Italiano Insurance want to welcome the Rays to Tampa and remind you, It's time to renew those insurance policies with the now famous Italiano Insurance Checkup. Let the experienced and friendly agents shop your policy for the best price and coverage. Famous for saving me over $1,000 on our auto insurance last year and over $500 on our homeowners. Now that's a grand slam. Might as well get a double play by adding flood insurance and business insurance to your portfolio. Costs less than you think, and trust me, you do not want to risk your home or personal wealth. That's a big whiff. So step up to the plate and call 813-877-7799 and chat with the all-star agents at Italiano Insurance. 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Go Rays! JP here for Riveters, our new official sports bar and grill of the JP Peterson Show. And just like our show, no BS, no corporate chain feel, just amazing, authentic folks serving great comfort food in a casual atmosphere at unheard of prices. Riveters is located just south of Raymond James and Steinbrenner Field on Dale Mabry, walking distance to the park, so free parking, great place for pregame and postgame. Let's talk about fresh food. Nothing is frozen. Burgers, wings, prime rib, roasted fresh daily, never frozen. That makes a huge difference. The mahi, the salmon, also super fresh. All our sauces are original recipes made in-house. Our Warhawk chili and fully loaded potato soup is made fresh in-house. It's the best food anywhere, served by people who actually care. Riveters on Dale Mabry, just north of 275, just south of where the Bucs and Rays play. We'll see you there. Are you looking to renovate your home, rebuild after the hurricanes, or build your dream home from scratch? Well, let me tell you about my friend Jason Fawcett and On-Site Construction. They have over 1,450 satisfied clients, 25 years of experience, over 500 designs, and a talented team of over 40 construction professionals. They believe building something exceptional begins by truly focusing on all the details, even the smallest ones. We understand that construction can be a daunting process, and we're here to make it as smooth and stress-free as possible. Quality is non-negotiable at On-Site Construction. We use the finest materials, employ the most skilled tradespeople, and adhere to the highest industry standards to deliver a product we're proud of and that you're going to love. Our project management is meticulous with a focus on completing projects on time and on budget. Your happiness is our primary driver. So give us a call at 813-579-5789 or check out our incredible website at onsiteconstructionfl.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Riveters, as we come to you from the G's Law Group studio right here. Riveters, the place to go before and after your trip to the Rays games. You can park there, walk to the field, and enjoy some of their incredible food. The burgers are amazing. Everything is made fresh. Chicken wings, absolutely fantastic. The happy hour prices off the chain. You got to go to Riveters. So many folks have listened and gone and posted stuff on Twitter. If you go, please post that on Twitter. Show your food. And get more people to head on over there to Riveters, right there, just south of Steinbrenner Stadium and just north of 275. Very easy to get to. All right.
Should we call it Rays Steinbrenner Stadium? I think that's what we should start calling it.
Rays Steinbrenner Stadium.
Yeah,
we could do that. I like that.
I mean, it's kind of appropriate, right?
Yeah. It is not a minor league field. I reject that.
No, not at all.
All right, let's talk some big league football with our great friend Scott Reynolds from the Pewter Report. It is T-minus what? We got 48 hours till draft time. What's up, Scott? Oh, my God.
Oh, look at that.
You got your lightning hat on. Let's go.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Look at this.
Go Bolts.
Yeah, that is great.
See what shirt I have on here?
What is that?
Number #1.
Oh, yeah.
Bull spit. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
There we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Number
baby.
1.
That's right. one of the greatest quotes of all time.
That was fantastic. There's nothing better than a drunk Kucherov after scoring multi-goals and winning Stanley Cups.
Yep.
Yeah. And he had a little rough go against the Panthers last year. So this is going to be, I think he's got a little score to settle. And
I think so too.
Pissed off Kucherov is good Kucherov.
It is. I agree.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens tonight.
Yep.
All right, we're all sporting our lightning stuff, but we're all thinking about the Bucs as well, because this is a huge draft for this team, frankly, Scott. Because when you're in the Super Bowl window, as we believe they are, and if he can stack 3 drafts, the last 2 have been sensational.
Right.
He stacks 3 drafts on top of each other and comes out with, what we have? We count 5 impact players last year, 4 to 5 impact players.
Yeah. I mean,
he does that again.
For sure. Yeah.
He does that again. Not only is it great for this season, but years to come. And I think they're set up to do so. What do you think?
Yeah. Super Bowl window is open, so you have to capitalize on it. And if you go back and look at the 2020 Super Bowl, everybody looks at, all right, Tom Brady, Antonio Brown, Leonard Fournette, Rob Gronkowski, all these imported players. And they all scored touchdowns in the Super Bowl. But it was guys like Sean Murphy-Bunting, Jamel Dean, Carlton Davis, Vita Vea, Devin White, Levante David, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, the homegrown guys, the offensive line, right?
Jr.
I mean, Ali Marpet, Donovan Smith. So I mean, to me, it's you have to have that draft foundation right there, and then you've got enough. You have to sprinkle in some free agents. You even go back to 2002. The Buccaneers could not get out of Philly, and under the Tony Dungy regime, with the likes of Rondé Barber, Derek Brooks, John Lynch, Mike Allstott, Warren Sapp. So like you had a star-studded group, but they needed a Simeon Rice, they needed a Greg Spires, they needed a Kerry Jenkins, they needed a Roman Oben and a Michael Pittman, and these guys to come in. And I think this team has the foundation for a Super Bowl championship, and maybe Hassan Reddick is that JPP, Simeon Rice, that imported pass rusher that this team needs to really propel the defense, because it's a Super Bowl ready offense. I think we know that.
Yeah.
But the defense has got to kind of take back the Superman cape a little bit, or at least say, hey, you don't get to wear it the entire season, offense.
We just had Sal Pal on, and he could not say enough good things about Hassan Reddick, not only as a player, but as a person.
Yep.
So anybody that's concerned about, him, the holdout and all that's other shenanigans, which I was at first, but after talking to some people, I think those concerns are completely allayed.
It's the Jets, man. It's just
the Jets. That's what he said. It's those Jets reclamation project. That usually doesn't work out. So,
right.
And that's honestly the biggest piece added to this team that will make a big difference. So, but if you can augment that, and your mock drafts keep coming up with the same guy, Donovan Ezeraku, and I love that pick. Absolutely love it. I think he would. I think he'd fit in perfectly on so many levels. But I know you've talked about it before. But talk about your latest mock draft, which you guys did last night.
Yeah, so we have Donovan Ezeraku going to the Bucs at number 19, and then follow that up with corners in the second and third round back to back, kind of like what Jason Light did in 2019. Remember, he drafted Sean Murphy-Bunting in the second round, and then got Jamel Dean and safety Mike Edwards in the third round.
That's right.
Right. So getting a couple of corners, one that can play inside like Noel Williams from Cal, and he can also play outside, but then having Savon Revel Jr. from East Carolina in the second round, that's your outside cornerback, the guy that will eventually replace Jamel Dean, will challenge Dean in camp, etc. But with Ezeraku, what you're getting is, if you want to rush 4, if that's kind of the mentality and the mindset, Todd Bowles. And I think, listen, Todd Bowles loves to blitz, but when he wants to, not when he has to get pressure. And I think that kind of wore on him the whole year. And so I think you've got a guy like Hassan Reddick coming in now as a free agent, and he likes to rush from the left side. And you've got Yaya Diaby, who will kind of stay on the right side, which I love. I hate the flip-flopping sides. So now you've got a couple of guys there. But as we saw last year, when Yaya wasn't in on a key third down or whatever in a particular game, a particular quarter, particular series, where's the pass rush? You had Anthony Nelson and Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, and like the quarterback had all day to throw. So if you can get that hockey line shift that Todd Bowles likes, where you've got Hassan Reddick and Yaya Diaby as your starters, and if they're not in the game on that particular third down, and you've got a Donovan Ezeraku and maybe a leveled up Chris Braswell, where there isn't much of a drop off, that's really what Todd Bowles wants to get to. And when you draft a player like Ezeraku, you're doing it for a couple reasons. Number one, it's an insurance policy in case Chris Braswell just isn't a hit. in case he's slow to develop and is not that guy.
Yep.
We've seen Jason Light draft Noah Spence, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. That hasn't been a great track record, right? So he will ensure that if Chris Braswell is a miss as a second rounder last year, they've got another guy that can rise and ascend. Also, Hassan Reddick, let's say 30, 31 years old. He'll be 31 later this year. Let's say he's not that guy anymore. Let's say, he's not the double-digit sack guy. Maybe he's a 4.5, 5 sack guy, kind of like what Shaq Barrett was in his last full season at Tampa. Not good enough. Well, he is a safety net as a Raku, just in case your number one pass rusher isn't that guy anymore. And so I think if you want to rush for, you got to make sure you have the horses to be able to do that. And you've got to really double up on that side of the ball too. As we've seen it now a couple times. Simeon Rice, I want to say his last year in Tampa Bay, he was 32. Shaq Barrett was 32. I'm not counting last year. JPP was 32. So at some point in time for edge rushers, the wheels fall off the wagon. We've seen that enough with the team's best pass rushers of all time on the edge, right? Not including the late, great Leroy Selman. But in the modern era, it's early 30s. And I mean, Hassan Reddick is right there. I know he wants one more big contract, but it might be a 1-year deal next year if he blows up. Yeah. Because at some point in time, he's not going to be that guy anymore. And drafting another guy in Hassan or in Danham Raku that can learn from Hassan Reddick, a fellow Jersey guy, that's what you want, man.
Scott Reynolds joining us here from the Pewter Report, and they made the horrible mistake of putting me on a Pewter Report podcast yesterday.
That was fun.
It was
awesome.
It was super fun. I really appreciate you asking me. It was super fun. And, we're, as I said at the top, we get so zeroed in on the top guys, but where Jason Light has really remade this team is in the third, fourth, and fifth rounds and come up with some really good guys. Give me some names of guys like that, because I think there's going to be an impact inside linebacker that they can find there. There might be a safety that they can find there. And it might be a wide receiver as well. Yeah. So where do you think they go in the mid rounds?
In the mid rounds, I think it's going to be best player available. You might see a wide receiver like Jalen Knoll from Iowa State go in the second round. He is a starting caliber, fast wide receiver, big time playmaker, tough nut for his size. Plays bigger than his 5'11", 194-pound frame, and he brings that sub 4.4 speed that Josh Grizzard's looking for. So, that's a name to consider there. In the middle rounds, I think is where they're going to get a linebacker. Demetrius Knight from South Carolina is a stud. Jeffrey Bassa, who is in our mock draft in the 4th round to Tampa, the kid out of Oregon.
Yes.
Like him a lot. Some other names, Smile Mondon from Georgia, maybe on day 3, in that 4th, 5th round. Nicholas Martin's a guy that I like. I want that missed tackle rate to go down, but the dude plays with his hair on fire. 140 tackles and 6 sacks and a couple of interceptions. Single-handedly destroyed my Kansas State Wildcats his junior year, and then gets hurt a couple games into his senior season, and so he's kind of having to make up for lost time. But he's a day 3 option, rounds 4 or 5. So. And maybe Carson Schlesinger from UCLA in the second round. So there's some guys that they can get on day 2 or early day 3 to play linebacker. If you look at a year or 2 ago, the best linebacker duo in the league was San Francisco's Fred Warner, 3rd round pick out of BYU, and Dre Greenlaw, 5th round pick out of Arkansas. When you look at, and I know not everyone, but a lot of people are high on Jihad Campbell. I'm not personally. I wouldn't poo-poo the pick if they made it. Right. It makes sense on some levels. I was more enamored with Devin White, if I'm being honest. I thought Devin White was every bit worth the 5th overall pick based on his LSU film. And I think for the first 2 years, he kind of backed that up until the ego got out of control. But I'm just not as enamored with Jihad Campbell. I mean, I like Schlesinger. I like Demetrius Knight. I like Chris Pupal from Ole Miss, probably just as much.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't take those guys in the first round. So why would I take Jihad Campbell in the first round? So I think there is going to be a good linebacker fit for the Buccaneers in the middle rounds. I think they got to address edge rusher. If you want to rush forward, you got to get one. And cornerback in the first 2 rounds. Now that might be flipped, and maybe you go corner in round 1, and then you get your edge rusher. Maybe it's a Nick Scorton from Purdue.
It's deeper.
It is deeper. Or
Deeper
maybe you get UCLA's Oluwafemi Oladejo on day 2 as well.
Yeah. When I look around the overall draft, we just had Sal Pal on, and he's talking about that number 3 pick is kind of the pivot point. Shedeur, do the Giants take Shedeur Sanders, or do they take Abdul Carter? I personally would take Abdul Carter, because they have so many holes on that team. How do you think? Obviously we're zeroed in on the Bucs, but where these other teams go, especially in the NFC, how do you think the draft kind of pans out early on?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because you have back-to-back picks with the Panthers and the Saints. I think the Panthers are certainly going to go defense, probably an edge rusher. Dan Morgan, the GM, is a defensive-minded guy, former linebacker in NFL and at Miami. So they need an edge rusher for sure. I don't think they're going to be in on Ezeraku. I think the guy to look at there is Jalen Walker out of Georgia. I think he's probably going to be the guy because he can play linebacker too. He's a little bit of a flex player, hybrid. And then the Saints are not a good drafting team, and that's why they're in so much salary cap hell, because they have to go out and sign free agents, and they have to overpay to keep their players because they can't draft adequate replacements. Look at the defensive ends that they've rolled through. They let go of the best one, Trey Hendrickson, right?
Yeah.
Because they had Marcus Davenport, and he was a failure. You had Patrick Turner, who couldn't even see the field. He was a failure. So when you fail in the draft, the not so expensive free agents become the guys you have to have, because if you keep missing, you have to have good players. So you're overpaying pro players. And instead of letting Cam Jordan go like they could have and should have years ago, because he's a shell of his former self, they have to hang on to him because he's better than Marcus Davenport or Patrick Turner.
Paying him a lot of money though,
and you pay him a lot of money. So the Saints probably should pick the best player available because they need a lot of help everywhere, offense, defense, etc. But they're probably going to have to go quarterback in the first round. Is that going to be Shedeur Sanders? I'm hearing Jackson Dart might be the guy there. What I think would be interesting is if the Buccaneers are on the clock at 19 and Shedeur Sanders is sliding, and we know the Steelers might be very interested in getting Shedeur Sanders, especially if Jackson Dart's off the board. That might be a really interesting spot, because you have teams like Cleveland, teams like the Giants that might want to trade up back into the first round. Yeah, and get one of the very few quarterbacks that are any good in this draft. And I don't think any of the quarterbacks are really good in this draft. I don't think Cam Ward's that good, to be honest.
Yep.
I agree with him. He was a turnover machine before he got to Miami. People seem to forget that. Timmy, you want to get in here?
Yeah, actually, I was going to throw this out there. We were talking earlier about Jason Light and his drafts and how well he's done. Ironically, right about the same time we were discussing this across the X machine, from Buccaneers Communications, an X account from the team that I really enjoy. Only 3 rookie centers since 2000 have started 16 or more games and had their team finish in the top 5 in rushing yards per game. Jason Kelsey, Eagles 2011.
Yep.
Tyler Linderbaum, Baltimore in 2022, and our buddy Graham Barton.
Pretty good company.
That's really good company.
Pretty good company, yeah.
And look, I know he was the number 26 overall pick. You're supposed to hit on that. But not a lot of teams do late in the first round.
That's
I'm looking at what Dallas has done in the first round here lately. It's been miserable since Michael Parsons was drafted.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Jason Light's trend continues up with his drafts, and it shows. I think it shows on the field. I think the question I had for you, Scott, was I wanted to ask you about Chris Braswell. I don't know that he was a massive disappointment in his rookie season. I don't know that I use those words. He didn't get a lot of playing time. I think I saw he played 30% of the defensive snaps.
That was the problem. He just didn't get enough playing time.
Yeah, he played a lot on special teams, I think. But and most of those stats that his tackles and stuff I saw were special teams tackles. But are they worried at all about him as far as you can tell? They're not looking to supplant him on the depth chart, are they?
No, they're not looking to supplant him. And again, too, it's like, listen, you can have all of the wild sack fantasies in your mind about Yaya Diaby becoming a double-digit sack guy opposite Hassan Reddick. Right. And the same thing with Reddick. He can become a double-digit sack guy, too. You might have your Shaq and your JPP right here next year till one of those guys gets hurt, right? And then what? So you can never have enough good pass rushers. especially young guys coming up. So no, if they drafted an edge rusher in the first round, this is not an indictment on Chris Braswell. The true story with what happened to Chris Braswell last year was, and this is not uncommon around the league. I've seen it here in Tampa. I remember when Bruce Allen and John Gruden drafted Gaines Adams, and they wanted to get him on the field. And I want to say, was it still Greg Spires at the time? There was a veteran defensive end that Monty was playing, and they're like, we spent a first round pick on Gaines Adams. Let's get him on the field.
Yeah, it was 2004. It was 04. So Greg was probably still there.
Yeah, possibly. And so it's just one of those things where the front office wants to see their new shiny toys get played with.
Yeah.
Right. And the coaches want veterans, guys they can trust because they don't screw up like rookies.
Yeah.
But the only way you get experience is to be on the field. Like, you're not going to get any sacks from the sidelines. It just, you can't do it.
Right.
And you can sit there and get all the mental reps you want and watch all the film until you beat a grown man in front of you and get to the quarterback. You are inexperienced. And Joe Tryon-Shoyinka was this team had a fetish for him that I don't understand. I mean, a couple of years ago, I knew this guy was a finesse player.
Soft.
And he was a problem that was not going to get solved. And George Edwards was certainly not the guy to do it. Yeah. But Edwards loved him, and Todd Bowles loved JTS. He was the chess piece. Okay, great. Yeah, I'm sorry, Jason Light didn't draft Joe Tryon-Shoyinka to drop in coverage. Like, maybe that's a bonus that he has athleticism to do that. That's not why he was drafted. He was drafted to get the quarterback. And even Todd Bowles finally had to admit, yeah, he did everything except get the quarterback. He did that this offseason after Jason Light was like, we are not re-signing him, Todd. We're not doing it. Yeah. And so I think that was the problem last year was George Edwards, Todd Bowles were smitten with JTS. They didn't give Chris Braswell enough opportunity. And yeah, it's like everybody wants to sit there and say, okay, get 15 reps. Yeah, 15 reps on Sunday. Go out there and make the most of them. So we can give you 20 reps the next week or 25 the week after that. Doesn't always happen. Doesn't always work that way. Sometimes the quarterback gets rid of the ball too quickly, and you don't have enough opportunities to make that impression.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and listen, Larry Foote coaching the outside linebacker position will be the game changer. That is the difference maker.
I love that.
And Braswell will get better under his tutelage.
And Mike Caldwell coming back in the middle. Yeah.
I saw an interesting quote this morning. I think it was from yesterday. I saw on CBS Sports about Kalijah Cansey. Said that he thinks that if he can stay healthy for 17 games, which he hasn't done yet, he's had a history there. Yeah, that he can lead the NFL in sacks this year, and that's his goal.
Yeah, that was Scott's question.
I love that. I love that. I mean, I want.
I love it too.
Guy, but let's take baby steps here. Maybe let's just stay healthy first.
Yeah, let's get to double digits first. Let's get to 10, right? And not just 10 games, 10 sacks.
Right.
Because if you look at it, Trey Hendrickson led the league in sacks last year with 17.5. The edge rusher for Cincinnati. That's a sack a game. That's pretty hard to do with your average. So I'm not saying you can't do it, but I don't know that. Like, if Kalijah Cansey had, say, what did he play? He missed 5 games last year, so he played in 12. If he had 10 sacks in 12 games, that might be a little bit more believable.
We'd be more excited. Yeah.
But
I mean,
who knows?
If you average a sack a game, but you only play 8 games, you're still only at 8 sacks. So let's get healthy first.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
I love that from him, though. I love to hear that.
Speak it into existence. Why not? Let's do it.
All right, Scotty, tell everybody what you got coming up this week for Pewter Report. The next couple of days, you guys going to be busy.
Yeah, we are. We've got our final mock draft is up on pewterreport.com. Make sure you check that out. It's our final mock out of the 5 we've done. And we did a show last night, myself and Josh Capo, where we went over all the picks and did the reasoning behind it. So you can find that up on our YouTube channel, Pewter Report TV. We have a podcast today at 4:00. Myself and Matt Matera will go through all of the Bucs draft scoop, the latest scoop that we know. And then we've got a 3-day draft special. We're going to have a draft show live from One Buccaneer Place You can find that on Pewter Report TV. It'll be streamed on our X and Facebook channels at Pewter Report, as well as pewterreport.com. And we will be having wall-to-wall, minute-by-minute coverage of the entire draft. Each show, Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday morning, will start an hour before the draft. So our show on Thursday starts at 7. Our show on Friday starts at 6. And our show on Saturday, the day 3 day, will start at 11 a.m., which is an hour before the noon start for the final day of the draft. You can, again, find our live draft show, and that's going to be on Pewter Report TV, our YouTube channel.
There it is.
All right, Scotty, great stuff, man. Get some sleep before Thursday and the weekend.
Yes.
All right, partner. We'll see you in a bit. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Brian Bradley's going to join us live from Amalie Arena. As the morning skate is going on, we got Panthers and Lightning tonight. Unbelievable history between these two teams, including how close it has been, which will blow your mind. Back in 3. Stay with us. Hey, JP here for my concierge medical professional, Chris Lugo, PA. You've heard him on the show for a couple of years where he shares invaluable medical, nutritional, and supplement advice. With Chris, it's like having a medical provider as your best friend. What I love about this concierge service is the convenience and support he offers. I can text or call him 24/7 with any questions or concerns, and he'll promptly call in a prescription if needed. No office visits or copays required. It gives me peace of mind knowing I have someone genuinely invested in my health, not just focused on insurance profits. And the best part, the Bay Area Modern Medical Center's personal concierge service is more affordable than you might think. Don't let insurance companies dictate your health care. Take control of your health and wellness today. Visit BAMMC.com for more information and to schedule your initial free consultation. Empower yourself and take charge of your personal health with BAMMC.com. Diamond Days are back at the Golden Diamond Source, Tampa Bay's largest jewelry superstore. You know, I love Diamond Days because right now you can get up to 20% off all the diamonds in the inventory, including April's birthstone. Plus, you can take advantage of 0% financing for up to 5 years. This means that if you finance $5,000, your monthly payment would only be $83. Best of all, your Golden Diamond Source diamond never loses its value. And listen up, all soon-to-be newlyweds, here's your chance to win a $2,500 shopping spree at the Golden Diamond Source, along with a wedding cake for up to 100 guests, created by the renowned celebrity chef, The Cake Girl, as seen on the Today Show. Entering is easy. Simply visit the Golden Diamond Source on Omerton Road for your chance to win big. If you want your special someone to say yes, make sure it's a Golden Diamond Source diamond. Visit us at 3800 Omerton Road in Clearwater. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves, who lives right here and has long been a highly respected member of our community. He's a proud sponsor of the Tampa Riverwalk. Jeeves Law Group is also a proud sponsor of our Grand Central District in St. Pete and has neighborhood events throughout the year. He has an office on Central Avenue in St. Pete and one on South Howard in Tampa. You can't get more local than that. So when you need an attorney, you're going to hire some huge firm that advertises all over the state or the one that supports your favorite sports show. It's the Jeeves Law Group. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. For personal injury and personal attention, call us for a free case evaluation. That's 8889-JEEVES. That's 8889-JEEVES. Hey, Tampa Bay, it's time to get your AC unit ready for summer. And here at Third Generation Plumbing and Mechanical, we recommend getting ahead of the game, keeping your family cool before the hot summer months with one of our maintenance agreements in the hopes of avoiding the dreaded emergency service call. Our maintenance agreements include, we'll test the electrical components, check and tighten high and low voltage wire connections. We'll check the refrigerant for manufacturer's performance levels, test thermostats, calibrate if needed, clean the evaporator coil and condenser coil, and clear and treat the drain line and drain pans. Just call us at 813-961-8024 for the special rates, and a human will actually answer. 813-961-8024 or go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at On-Site Construction and Restoration, onsiteconstructionfl.com. If you're looking to restore your home after the hurricane, build anew, or add on to your home, they are the folks to do it. They are local, and they are absolutely fantastic. We'll read all the five-star reviews at onsiteconstructionfl.com. Great folks. All right, the cavalcade of Hall of Famers and superstars continues on this great show, except for the host. Now we bring in Brian Bradley, Lightning live from Amalie Arena as we get set to start the NHL playoffs. There he is as the Lightning are on the ice. What's up, Brads? How you doing, buddy?
Good, buddy. Ready to go tonight. Let's get her done. Let's get her going. The Panthers are in the house later tonight, and I think it's a midnight matinee or something like that.
We're doing puck drop at 8:48.
Yeah, 8:48. That'd be like the third period of a normal game, but they're actually supposed to. They usually do warm up at 10:30. This is the first time I've ever seen a warm up at 11 o'clock in the morning, and then the Panthers are on after. So the guys are on the ice now. You can see them. Hold the camera.
Yep.
You know what? Everybody's on the ice, full bore. Vazzy's in net. Connor Geeky's shooting right there. You know what? John Cooper looks like a lively spirit of practice. They get everything inside. Look at the 2025 playoffs, ready to rock and roll.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Really good. The ice looks good. You know what? I think the only guy that kind of we're missing right now is Oliver Bjorkstrand. So
yeah,
I don't think he'll be back for. I heard maybe not this round, but you know what? Maybe later in the playoffs. But that's a big loss for us because he's a good player, a veteran guy, played a lot of minutes. And anyways, you know, we got Connor Geeky, you know, Mitchell Chafee. Someone's gonna have to fill the role in. I mean, you know, Gage Gonzalez has played really well. So with Nick Paul, so I like that line. I like our first two lines. You know, obviously Yanni Gord and coming in there. He's in a second slot, but brings a lot of energy. And you know, I mean, it's going to come down to one thing. And you know what? It's going to come down. I'll give you my prediction at the very end. You asked it.
Okay.
It's going to come down to goaltending. It's going to come down to goaltending. We can talk about this in another week or 10 days from now, but whoever's a better goaltender is going to win the series. That's my prediction. So, you know, Vasilevsky to me is the best young goalie in the league. He's only getting better right now. Bobrovsky won the cup last year. He's an older. He's been around. He knows how to play. But those two guys are world-class goalies. And you know what? They're the two best goalies in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If you ask me. There's nobody better than those two guys.
Well, it's interesting because last year Bobrovsky got the best of the Lightning. I think we can say that. And Vasilevsky, he said it in the article Ed Encina wrote in the Times, a great article where Vasi talked about he couldn't even really stand on his right side last year. I mean, he was the nerve in his back that they had to have surgery on just didn't heal. So he wasn't at full speed, and he's finally getting back to that this year. And the numbers suggest that he just wasn't the same guy last year. So, I mean, you've seen it since January 1, he's been the best goalie by numbers in the NHL. How much better is Vasi this year right now as he heads into this series than last year when we played the Panthers and lost?
Oh, way better. No question. I mean, you know what? I know you guys are watching the guys skate on the ice or taking shots on Vasi right here. Vasi, to me, is playing as good as he played when we won back-to-back Stanley Cups. He's that good. And he is the best goalie in the NHL by far. Trust me. I know guys will tell you Bobrovsky, but if every general manager had to pick a guy for one game to win the cup, it would always Vasi. He's that good. I didn't know he was hurt that bad, but
me neither.
I mean, you know what? Our team last year was really good, but this year's team's a lot better. I mean, you know, we had some defenseman issues. This year picking up Ryan McDonough. You know, we got J.J. Moser on the back end. You know, we had guys injured. We only had like 2 or 3 defensemen playing last year. Headman. You know, we had the kid we picked up from Minnesota. Who's, I think, now on Dallas. Can't think of his name. But, you know, our defense was very average last year. And up front, we had, you know, our guys. We just never had chances to just, you know, really score or give the opportunities to Florida to speed a score game to 1. So this year's team is way better than last year's team. And Vasi to me is playing a lot better. I mean, when you talk about the depth of our team, you know what? You talk about Point, Kucherov, you know, Jake Gensel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know what? It's a winning formula in terms of like that. And then, you know, got the second line, Brendan Hagel and Sorelli, and then you got Yanni Gord there, Nick Paul, and then the fourth line kind of, we know our role guys are what they're doing and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, it's going to be a great series. You know what? The Panthers are not going to be easy. I mean, you know what? It's not. I'll tell you, Kachuk's playing tonight. I don't care what anybody says. He's going to take the stage. They're not sure. He's in, guys. I'm not telling you right now. I mean, but here's the thing. He hasn't played in 2 months or more. So he's not going to be – he'll be fresh, but he'll be exhausted because he's not going to have as good a shape as some of these guys who've been game in, game out. He might be good for the first game, but then he'll go downhill a bit and then gradually work up. But hopefully by then we'll knock him out of the playoffs.
I like that plan. Brian Bradley joining us here. Brian, like these two teams know each other so well. You've played in playoff series where you go 7 games. Take me through the thought process. You know, each game you're playing against the same guys. You kind of get a feel for what the other coach is trying to do to stop you, right? Like you were the focus when you played. So Kucherov went through this last year. He was the focus. They did a good job on stopping him. So how, as a player, do you adjust in a series from game to game, from shift to shift, when you know what you try to get a feel for what the other team's trying to do to you?
Well, that's great points, JP. These are 2 veteran teams. They know what they're doing. They both won Stanley Cups. We've won some Stanley Cups. We've got guys like Jake Gensel, who's won Stanley Cups. On other teams, we've got Yanni Gourde back. We've got Ryan McDonough back. But at the end of the day, like I said, you know, you look at the game the other night when you watched Toronto play Ottawa. Ottawa played one hell of a game, but they just self-destructed. They took 6 or 7 penalties against Toronto, and Toronto burned them. And that was it. Ottawa was a better team, in my opinion, but they're a young team. They have no playoff experience. They're out running around being stupid. And, you know, you're not going to see that from these 2 teams tonight because both teams know that the Lightning power play is ranked number 5, I think, in the NHL. The Panthers power play is about 15, I think. It's not as good as our power play by any means, but you do not want to take penalties in this series. And these teams are veteran teams where there's not going to be much undiscipline after the whistle. And that's what happened against Ottawa, even some of the games last night in Montreal, some penalties where they're taking some penalties against teams and players that have played in the playoffs for 10 years that aren't going to do that. They're going to goat you into that stuff and then walk away. So, you know, it's going to be fun to watch. I mean, in terms of Kucherov, you know, he's a world-class player. He's the best player to me, you know, top 2 or 3 in the NHL, McKinnon and Connor McDavid, obviously. But you know what? When he's on his game, there's not many guys better in the NHL. I mean, I like Jake Gensel. I'm going with a dark horse right now. I'm going. If it's not Vasilevsky, I'm taking Braden Point to win the Conn Smythe Trophy this year.
Oh, wow! I like it.
I think this is Braden Point's breakout year right now. In terms of, like, you know what? He's at 28 years old. You know, he'll be 29 coming up maybe this year, but he's in his prime. He's ready to go. He's had a great 4 Nations Cup. He's played well. He's skating good. I'm calling him to have a monster playoff series for the Lightning right now. That's my guy right now.
I love that.
Brian, Bjorkstrand is out. He's been ruled out for the series. 9 points in 18 games since coming over from Seattle at the trade deadline. What are they going to have to do to alter their offensive plan against the Panthers without Bjorkstrand?
Well, you know what? He's a guy that got an injury. I guess it's not a great injury, and you know, they're taking care of it. Hopefully, we get through the Panthers here, which is going to be a battle. But you know what? They're going to have like Connor Geeky, you know, Gage Gonzalez, Mitchell Chafee. Someone's going to have to step into that role and take cover. I mean, I know his numbers aren't there. He started to get better, and he started to play the power play at the end. But he's, you know, Oliver Bjorkstrand's a great player. He's played in the league for a long time. He knows how to play in the playoffs. He's won at every level. I can't stress that enough. He's won at every level. He's won in American Hockey League. He won in the Junior Hockey League. So he's won championships wherever he's been. So you know what? We can get through these guys, the Panthers. He'll be back, and we'll definitely need him going forward. Trust me, because he's that type of player. He's awesome to watch. He's got a great shot, a very underrated wrist shot, slap shot. It's kind of sneaky, and you know what? He gets it away quick, and it's hard. It's got a hard, quick, fast shot. I love the way he plays. He's only going to get better as time, but it's unfortunate he's got an injury right now. But you know what? That's part of the game. I mean, you know, the Panthers are going through some injuries too. You know, Kachuk's coming back. Ekblad, I think, is out. He's a great defenseman for them. So you know what? Everybody's going to have a little injury here and there in the playoffs. You just hopefully it's not a star player. Because, I mean, we all remember, 3 years ago, we played Colorado in the back-to-back championships, and we lost Braden Point in the first round. That's tough to replace. You can't replace world-class players like that by any means. They're just too good of players.
Yeah. All right, last one, Brad. You look at these two teams. It's a great contrast in styles, right? The Panthers lead the league in hits. They want to beat you up. They want to get physical with you and take you out of your game. The Lightning want to counterpunch, right? They want to make you make a mistake and then attack with their skill. So as a Lightning team, how do you not get caught up in the physicality? You got to answer with intensity. You got to win those battles on the boards. But how do you not get caught up in the physicality and get out of your game?
Yeah, you just got to go play your game. I mean, the Panthers are going to come out here and try and stir the pot. But, I mean, when you look at their lineup, there's no Lombard. They don't have any guys that they had the last year or two down there. So they got a few guys that, maybe they can fight. But we don't have Maroon. They don't have their guys anymore. That stuff's gone. Sam Bennett's going to be there. But, we've got Hago. We've got some other guys that can jump in and do stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it'll be a physical series. But it's not going to be as crazy as what everybody thinks. I don't think the Florida Panthers are as physical or nasty as they were a couple years ago. I think they went away from that.
Yeah.
I mean, you picked up Marchand. He's physical, but he plays not that type of game. I mean, I don't see them being that type of team anymore. They're going to try and bring it to us. But the problem is with Florida, they start running around being stupid. They start taking penalties. And you know what? Guarantee you this. We got two of the best coaches in the NHL coaching this series. John Cooper, best coach in the NHL, and Paul Maurice, Stanley Cup champ. They know how to win. They've got winning records. They've got winning resumes. Both of them outstanding. So you know what? They understand what's going to happen tonight and how we have to beat Florida and how Florida has to beat us. So they're not going to be something stupid going on the ice right now, unless the game's 5-1, then it could get out of hand.
All right. What are those on the seats there? Are those towels? Or T-shirts? What do we got on the seat there?
Yeah, it's like Bring the Thunder. Stanley Cup playoffs, so it's all these things like Bring the Thunder on the seat. Lightning playoff hockey 2025.
Love it.
They're like towels. You wave them around. You
Oh.
games like Winnipeg and stuff like that.
Love it.
All the different stuff going on right now. So yeah, it's exciting. It's guys are just doing some shots here on goal right now, and then getting off the ice for this midnight madness matinee we're gonna have going on tonight. So
love it. All right, Brad's go take your nap like I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a nap this afternoon like the players to get through this one tonight. Awesome stuff. Thanks, Brad. Appreciate you, brother. I'll see you tonight.
Hold on. I never gave my call.
That's right. Give me the prediction. Sorry. My bad.
Hey, I'm calling it. Here's what I'm saying. The Lightning in 7.
Lightning in 7.
And then we're gonna beat Toronto in 5, I think. And then I don't even think Washington's gonna get out of Montreal. So I don't know. Maybe Carolina. I think it's gonna be us in Colorado for the Stanley Cup final.
Let's go. Let's go. I'll take it. I'll take it. All right, Brad. Love it.
First series is gonna be a good one.
Lightning in 7. Lightning in 7. All right. I got to change my flight. Thank you, partner. I'll see you tonight. Great Brian Bradley right there. So we got the towels to swing around and the clappers to make noise.
I'm surprised those towels didn't say fire Nico. That's what everything else around the freaking country is. There was a dude on the Stars in the crowd right behind Pete DeBoer right behind the bench that said "Fire Nico, please." So at least he was nice about it, right? Like,
well, that was one hell of a game last night with the Abs in Dallas. Colin Blackwell, who was a healthy scratch for 13 games, didn't even play in game 1, gets a rebound that seemed to sit there for like an hour.
Yeah, you want to see it?
Yeah, you got it?
I got it right here.
Going at Johnson. This is insane. Blackwell into the slot, shoots.
Look at it just there.
Traffic by Blackwood. Blackwell scores!
What a call, by the way.
Over. This series is tied.
Look at the pandemonium.
So
overtime goals, man. Are you kidding me? That freaking rebound was sitting there for an hour.
What a juicy rebound it was. It's very rare you ever see the puck at a dead stop on the ice in an NHL game. And it popped about 8 feet out.
Crease.
Right in the crease. And he came and got his own juicy rebound. Like you said, he was a healthy scratch. Blackwell was in game 1. DeBoer injected him because they needed some energy. They were dead in game 1 in the 5-2 loss. That was the 8th straight game they had lost because they lost 7 straight going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Including a snoozer against Nashville to end the season. But look, the Stars are still without Miro Heiskanen, their top defender. He's been out since late January. He skated before the game. He's not ready. I would be very surprised unless they're in desperation mode, down 3-1 or something. I will be surprised to see him. They're without their top scorer in Jason Robertson, who's week to week. He may not be ready for this series. So they got their work cut out for him against Colorado. But look, man, I'm crossing my fingers. That was a big win for them last night because you cannot go back to Denver down 2-0. It's just ridiculous. And when you look at Pete DeBoer, his record in game 1s and game 2s, when he loses game 1 of a series, which he does a lot, he is now 6-2 in the follow game in game 2, rebounding.
Adjustments, yeah.
And if they can get to a game 7, I believe he has won like 11 in a row game 7s. So,
yeah, that was one hell of a hockey game last night, as was the Edmonton Kings game. Holy shiznit. The Kings went out 4-0 in this game.
Yeah.
And then McDavid just went bananas. Him and Draisaitl, they score with 1:28 left to come back with an empty net to tie it at 5. And the place is just going crazy. And then at 41 seconds left, Philip Deneau gets his second goal for the Kings to win it 6-5. What a freaking game. Holy moly.
Yeah, and
what a game.
very, very similar game in with the Capitals and the Canadiens.
Yes.
The Capitals go up they led the game 2-0.
Yeah, for the whole game.
Midway through the third, my Canadiens had only had 2 shots on goal in the third period. It was ridiculous. They get 2 goals to tie it.
Suzuki's goal was like, oh my God.
How great was that?
I mean, he just sat there and waited and waited and waited.
Yeah.
Who was in goal? Came back for this one. Long.
Oh crap. If you wouldn't ask me, I could have told you. But that was a juicy patience as he just stood there in the crease with the puck and then just shot it past the goaltender. But then, of course, Alex Ovechkin, in a year of firsts for him, obviously breaking Gretzky's record, he had never, ever in his career scored an overtime game-winner goal in the playoffs.
How about that?
And he gets that against my Habs last night.
At 39 years of age, his 45th overtime playoff game, he finally gets a game winner.
How ridiculous is that?
How many shots do you think he took in overtime in his playoff career? It's got to be like one. Exactly. He's got to be like 1 for 500. I don't know how many. I'd love to see that stat. Like how many shots on goal he has, shots attempted in overtime. It's got to be an enormous number to never get one. And then to finally get one, that's pretty impressive. So that was a huge win for them as they go up 1-0 in that series. And so, by the
way, that was that was for the Canadians. Yeah, just incredible though. All these games. This is why it's the greatest sport, the greatest playoffs in all of the major sports for me.
Yeah, absolutely,
you just don't know. You just don't know, man.
So, I got to get to this stat. This is crazy. So this is the Panthers and Lightning by the numbers. Wins this season, 47 for the Panthers, 47 for the Lightning. Head-to-head this season, 2 wins, 2 wins. Head-to-head wins last 20 meetings, including playoffs, 10-10. Wait a minute. Head-to-head wins last 40 meetings, including playoffs. 2020.
Wow.
Wait a minute. Goals last 145 meetings, including playoffs.
Oh, no.
454 for the Panthers. 454 for the Lightning.
No way. Can't write this stuff.
Wins in the last 168 head-to-head meetings. 168. 80 for the Lightning. 80 for the Panthers, and 8 ties.
That is insane.
Are you freaking kidding me? Yes. Wins this season, 47-47. Head-to-head, 2-2. Head-to-head last 20 meetings, 10-10. Head-to-head last 40 meetings, 20-20. Goals last 145 meetings, 454. 454. Wins in last 168, 80, 80, and 8. That is
insane.
Simply insane.
Wow. And here we go. Starts tonight.
That is bananas. Here, by the way, this real quick. The Arizona Diamondbacks and the Rays will play tonight. Okay. Yep. They came into the league the same time.
Yep.
Guess how many wins the Rays have?
No, come on.
2,100. Guess how many wins the Diamondbacks have?
No.
2,100.
Wow.
Guess how many pennants each team has? 2.
2. Yeah.
Both have 2 pennants. Playoff appearances, the Rays have 9. The Diamondbacks have 7. World Series. Diamondbacks obviously have 1. We have none. How about that?
Yeah,
How about that?
Diamondbacks have a loss in 2023, yo. Texas
Yes.
Rangers, baby.
The difference, Gonzo's number off the label against the Yankees.
Yep, right up the middle.
To win it for on the drawn-in infield.
2001, right?
Yeah, 2001. Yep, Gonzo's. So yeah, absolutely, really, really cool. That Lightning Panthers thing. That's incredible. The goals in the last 145 meetings. I mean,
that is insane. Yeah. You know what? You brought up that Yankees Diamondbacks World Series 2001. I can remember about 10 years ago, with my last marriage. One of the things I used to do before I go to bed is I'd sit. I had my iPad at the time, and I'd watch like sports highlights from the day, right? Sitting up in bed and watching, because my wife she liked to read, so she's over there reading. I'm over here on my iPad. It was one night we had just gotten in. We were out. It's kind of late. I'm like, I need to decompress. I think we were fighting about something. So I went to my iPad. I went to YouTube, and I turned on that World Series, and it was the final game, the Diamondbacks and the Yankees. And I fast forwarded it to like the ninth inning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "What are you watching?" She's like, "I'm like, it's the 2001 World Series. It's the D-backs and the Yankees." She's like, "Why?" Like she was used to me watching weird stuff, right? She's like, "Why?" I said, "Because we've had a really bad night, and I just need to watch the Yankees lose a World Series because I'll feel better." And she was like, "You are the weirdest person." And then she like tweeted about it the next day or something. And
tweeted about it.
Yeah, it's like what my husband does, late at night instead of me. This is what he does. That's why we're not married anymore.
Interesting.
The game was more interesting, okay, than she was. That's all I'm going to say.
That was don't doubt that. That was the year I went to Yankee Stadium, and George Bush threw out the first pitch.
Yeah,
that was bizarre.
Were you at that game?
I was there.
Oh, for what?
There. We just Dave Cook, our producer at Channel 8, just decided for some reason we needed to go cover the World Series and got credentials, and we went up there and covered the World Series because of the the historical significance after 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite stories to tell. We were before the game, we were in search of a pregame meal, of course, as all free pregame meal as all media people are in search of.
Sure, yeah.
So we were down in the bowels. This is the old Yankee Stadium. We're down in the bowels, and we're just made a wrong turn or somewhere, and there's this narrow hall. It's probably it's just super narrow, and here comes the most heavily armed people I've ever seen in my life. And I guess they were the extraction team for Bush. And they were just, I can't tell you, like, there wasn't a piece of their body that was not armed with something. Yeah. Guns, grenades, weaponry, tactical stuff. And it was helmets, everything. And we're just like up against the wall, like, okay, well, you guys can pass. Don't want to touch anything. We're just like, it was like holy shiz, man.
You didn't like stick your foot out and try to trip one of them as they were running?
Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
They all fall like dominoes.
How quickly you would be dismantled.
Detained.
Oh my God. So that was like one of the most incredibles. We found our hot dog. And then we're we were in the auxiliary press box out in right field, and you're looking around the top of the stadium and you're seeing the world famous Yankee facade, right?
Yeah.
Except there's a little something different this time.
Mm-hmm.
Sharpshooters,
snipers
on every 10, 20 feet with binoculars all the way around. Security entering the stadium was just off the charts. And, there was a palpability just walking through the streets of Manhattan that day. There was just like, and I remember just walking into the game. It was bizarre.
Wow.
It was really bizarre. And watching, Bush go out there and walking out to and just taking his sweet ass time. And you're just like, hey man, can you hurry this up? I'm like really nervous right now.
Yeah.
Like really he was like, hey, take a shot at me.
Yeah. He didn't care.
Yeah. Well, I guess he knew that. Yeah.
Well, he knew what was around him. Yeah. He wasn't scared about that at all.
Well, probably knew that he was on the same side as the people who took that on. But anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, he knew he was safe. So
inside information is what you're saying?
Maybe. Who knows? And then he just, fired a pit. That was a really cool moment. It was a really, really cool moment. And
wasn't he wearing he was wearing the NYPD jacket.
Yeah,
right?
Had the hat and a huge flak suit underneath.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, but it was a moment. It was definitely a moment. But so that World Series and Gonzo gets the game winner to put the Diamondbacks into the World Series champion list, where the Rays are still laboring to find their way.
They'll get there
to win a World Series. Well, not with this ownership group. I'm absolutely certain of that. By the way, there's they've been selling pieces of the roof for $15.
Yeah. Do they have permission to do that?
Not according to Chris
Liefeld.
Or I guess he doesn't know. He asked the question.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not their roof. I don't know. Is it? I know it's kind of weird when you lease a place. You basically own it. But I would think.
Okay. Well, if you own it, then you should be the one paying to replace it. Boom. I said it.
Yeah.
So there you go. If you're able to sell it to make money from it.
But they say it's going to charity.
Yeah, whatever.
I'd like to see the paper trail on that. Yeah. So forgive me for being a little skeptical of what
the organization for underprivileged
when it comes to money. Yeah. Forgive me. Yeah. Well, they'll go probably to the Rays Foundation, which, then they give $1 million for hurricane relief, unlike the Lightning, who gave $4 million. They play in another county. Whatever.
What are you trying to say here?
It's the Rays being the Rays. It's what they do. But I'm sure all the proceeds from the sale of the roof are going to the foundation, which it makes the $1 million donation to wherever that goes. But whatever is what it is. I hope the money's going to some useful use to people who need it and not into the pockets.
Every time we start talking about Stu, I have this overwhelming desire to play this.
Yeah. Fits.
Huh.
I think we're having some snarky comments coming in from my wife, of all people. Love the avatar, honey. By the way, looking hot. You look hot, baby. Love it. JB bought a piece of the roof. He has it in a shadow box. Can you imagine me buying a piece of the roof?
Yeah, I actually can.
F you. I would literally light money on fire before I would do that.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Literally light it on fire. All right, Sue, you want to take a quick break and then we'll come back and we'll get into the comments?
Yeah, let's do that.
We got lots to get to. I got more football stuff to get to. We got more Bolts and Panther stuff to get to. Incredible hockey games last night. We might even get to a little bit of NBA basketball. It's a hell of a night to watch, to go to Riveters and watch all these games if you're not going to the game tonight. All right, we are brought to you by the great folks at Third Generation Plumbing. Summer is coming. You must have your unit in good shape for summer, right? That means get your drain line clean, your drain pan clean, make sure all your inner workings are working well, and that's what they do at Third Generation Plumbing. They'll come and give you an AC tune-up to make sure you don't have to make the dreaded emergency call during the summer when it's hot. So call them right now. Go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com. They also do AC, anything mechanical around the house they can handle. thirdgenerationplumbing.com. Back in 3.
Sal Paolantonio here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, voted number 3 People's Choice Award on Open Table. I want to thank all our loyal family of customers that have been enjoying our great traditional Italian dishes we make from scratch every day. It's a great family story we're proud of. Our family moved from Rimini, Italy in 1984. My dad, Caesar, started Donatello, and that's where I got the start in the restaurant business. I started Caffè Paradiso on South McDill in 1995, and we've been there ever since. From our traditional ossobuco, a veal slow roast for 4 hours, to our daily fresh catch, the Gruppo Paradiso, with a piccata sauce and lobster claw meat, homemade pasta like lasagna, farfalle salchicha, which is a bow tie pasta homemade with fresh sausage. Hold on a minute, JP's favorite.
I love it.
So come and have a glass of wine with me on South McDill. Get a reservation on Open Table and see all our 5-star reviews. Ciao, see you soon at Paradiso.
JP here for Riveters, the official sports bar and grill of the JP Peterson Show. We're located just south of Ray J and Steinbrenner Field, so it's a great pre- and post-game spot, and the happy hour is amazing. Monday through Friday, 3 to 7. Check out these specials. $3 Bud Light drafts, $4 domestic bottles, $5 wells, $6 premium wells, $6 cocktails like margaritas. It's unheard of. And the Riveters food is freshly made daily. No freezers. Happy hour food specials include $3.50 tacos and barbecue sliders. $6 you get edamame or chips with the beer cheese, which is amazing. $8 buffalo chicken dip, my favorite. The truffle fries, chili cheese fries, also $8 at happy hour. As well as other specials throughout the week, including Taco Tuesdays, you get $3 tacos, and Wing Wednesdays, 7 o'clock to 1 a.m. in the morning, you get our amazing wings, 5 for $5 and $5 wells and wines. That's a good Wednesday night. So if you're tired of the preppy, overpriced, generic sports bars, come see the amazing, friendly bartenders and staff at Riveters, where customer service really matters. Riveters, just south of where the Rays and Bucs play. We'll see you there. Summer is coming. Do not get caught with your unit unprepared. Your AC unit, of course. The awesome folks at Third Generation Plumbing and AC have a special going on right now. You get a free 1-year maintenance package with any purchase of a new unit. They have special 60-month financing as well, so you don't need a huge chunk up front. Third Generation has an impeccable reputation built over 30 years of doing business. They do plumbing, AC, mechanical work, anything you need around the house. They are trusted folks. Go to the website and read the 5-star reviews. Deidre said, great company that always arrives timely. We have used them for our AC both in home and business and have been very happy. The staff is knowledgeable and professional. I would recommend Third Generation again and again. So give Third Generation a call at 813-961-8024 or go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the Golden Diamond Source. Diamond days are on, 20% off all their diamonds. So that means it's a great time to go buy an engagement ring. 20% off. That's a big deal. You could save tons and tons of money, thousands of dollars right there. So check it out. Remember, they have the best staff. They have the absolutely best staff. They're going to educate you on your ring purchase. They're not going to try to force you to buy something or upsell you something you don't need. That's not what they do there. They're a great family-owned company. Obviously, Julie and Steve Weintraub, great friends of the show. We appreciate their support. So let's support these local businesses that support this show. None better than the Gold and Diamond Source. 3800 Ulmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. All right, couple of breaking news things here. According to the Tampa Bay Business Journal, Derby Lane, 100-plus acres in St. Pete, has a new owner. I don't know who it is because I can't get past your paywall, Tampa Bay Business Journal.
Yeah, good luck with
that.
Give
out media credentials for your business journal. That way you'd get a lot more people talking about your stuff. But I got in touch with their marketing people, and they're saying, no, we don't do that. I'm like, okay. Short-sightedness, because they got a lot of good content I'd like to talk about, but I can't read the damn thing. They also did a story on how Steinbrenner Field is too small for the Rays to stay long-term. Well, duh.
You think?
Well, duh. The foul poles aren't big enough, number one.
Right.
Not for Aaron Judge, anyway. That's for damn sure. No, it's obviously too small, but is it good enough to play in for 3 years while they get a new stadium built? I think so. And I think you could add some seats, get it up to 18,000. I think you could do that. And I think it obviously would pay for itself with the ticket prices. You get new owners. It's really kind of unlimited what can happen in Hillsborough County. You know, it's interesting. The Bucs have floated the idea of in their renovation of Raymond James Stadium, building kind of a entertainment complex of their own. And, you know, the Glazers have a history of doing they're doing something very similar to for Manchester United. So why not, you know, kind of do a dual build here, investing in Tampa. And I'm here to say, if they're going to do a development idea, I mean, why better? What better way than to involve the Rays? If the county's going to spend money in a renovation of Raymond James Stadium, that's going, and the Glazers are going to put in for developing the property. I mean, my goodness, can you imagine right there on Dale Mabry? You know, Midtown has been a huge success, which is about 2 miles down the road, down Dale Mabry South, where they built apartment complexes, a condo tower there as well. You've got all the different businesses that have been very successful there. It's huge. And you could build the same thing right there next to Raymond James Stadium. There's plenty of land and still plenty of parking available. And you could put a Rays stadium right next door, like we've talked about for about a year and a half now. Get your sliding roof going back and forth.
Drone tarp.
In the drone tarp. Why not? We'll drone tarp that shit. Hell yeah. I mean, there's the possibilities are endless. And you could conceivably add on to Steinbrenner Field. Now, I think the blueprint of the stadium, the dimensions are a little small for a major league stadium, but honestly, it would be kind of the new intimate ballpark, which I think they're going to be going more to. Less seats, more intimate, more premium seating that they could do. They could refab that whole park. And as I mentioned, that grandstand of Steinbrenner Field was built to handle a second deck. So they could put a second deck on that. They have plenty of room to expand it in all areas. Yeah, you could do that. And it would come at a much less cost than a $1.3 billion, $4.5 billion brand new stadium. Just retrofitting Steinbrenner Field would, I mean, absolutely. Now, obviously, you'd have to buy out the Yankees lease and all that other stuff. I don't think that would be a huge hindrance. Or you could just build a new stadium, baseball stadium, south of Raymond James or on the north side, whatever side.
But one right where the sombrero was, right in the parking lot right there.
Yeah, very easy. I mean, you wouldn't have to buy the land. It'd be centrally located. Now, I prefer the Ybor site because of Brightline that's coming in downtown. I think there's more egress. I think it's more of an urban game that the people in the downtown area where all the businesses are located would buy season tickets and have the premium tickets because they could, walk to the games, Uber to the games, scooter to the games. It's very trolley to the games. I think it would work better. I also see a lot of positives in the State Fairgrounds side place as well, across from the Hard Rock. Very accessible for the entire area. So I think
does the city or the county own the State Fairgrounds already?
The state does.
The state does. Okay.
And DeSantis knows who this new. He knows the people involved in this new group. I shouldn't say new group. The group that I've been talking about, the unnamed group, so to speak, which I think is changing as we speak, bringing different people in or trying that out. different all-star investor clan. And, but again, I think if CNBC did baseball valuations, theirs came out this week. Forbes has the Rays at 1.25. They had them at 1.4 billion, which I think is probably more accurate. And Stu, according to the Tampa Bay Business Journal and what they reported, and of course, what we've been talking about, we reported months and months ago that Stu wants $2 billion for the team. He's already turned down 1.8. So he wants $2 billion for the team, and it's just not worth that. So that's going to be, now the negotiations start. I would think they'll probably get to 1.8. That would be, I think, obviously more than it's worth. But typically, when these deals go down, the new buyers pay more than it's worth at the time because these things go up in value. Baseball, I think you look at the valuations of their teams compared to NFL and NBA teams, it's well below. But they don't have the national TV contract. The regional TV contracts have been, were once the lifeblood of baseball, have now gone away, and at least to the level that they were. So teams are trying to figure out, like the Rays are now putting 22 games on Channel 44 here locally. Now, their Channel 44 will go out and sell those games, or I don't know if they purchased them, if this is kind of a rev share with the Rays. I don't know how that works out, but they're going to put on 22 games and they're going to sell those spots. I don't know if they're going to be simulcast on FanDuel or not, or maybe this is just a different one and they're going to, that's just additional revenue. So it's a very different landscape as far as how baseball is now. But to me, once they figure it out, the revenue is still going to be there. The revenue, you're still going to be able to sell spots. You're still going to have a ton of programming that people want to watch. I mean, the Rays games were the top-rated shows on cable, and still are. They're among the top. I mean, they get huge audience. And these days, live sports is about the only place you can go to if you're an advertiser to get a mass audience.
Right.
And so it's very much in demand in terms of advertising. So I think baseball teams will figure it out, whether they stream their games themselves, use local TV stations, which are must carries on all the cable stations and YouTube TV and all the streaming. If you're getting a local TV package. So that to me is where a lot of this is heading. I think the Panthers did that this year. I'd have to do a little research to see how that worked out, but I think eventually they'll figure it out. Baseball will figure it out in terms of where they're going to get the money.
Here locally, and I've talked about this before, the Rangers and the Stars and the Mavericks were on what we had here, Bally's Southwest. It used to be I almost said FanStream Sports Southwest. It used to be Fox Sports Southwest, that turned into Bally's Southwest. But they weren't on any of the major cable networks. Like you couldn't get Bally's. You had to subscribe to its own app, and it was like $400. It was ridiculous. So now the Rangers and the Stars are on their own Victory Plus app, which, by the way, for some reason they also share with the Anaheim Ducks. Not sure how they ended up on there, but we can do that too. But for the Rangers games, we have to pay $100 for the add-on to watch all 162. Well, actually, it's like 140 Rangers games, because they're split with, they have some of their games on Apple Plus. Some of them are national on TBS and ESPN and all that.
How many subscribers you think signed up for the $100?
I did. I'm at least one, but everybody I taught, what's weird, because the Rangers here now, a season removed from the World Series, they're just not a story here. It's Cowboys. And when the Stars are good, it's Stars, and the Rangers have always been a distant third. Now, used to be distant second to the Cowboys. Mavericks are even farther down the list now that Luka's gone. Apparently, everybody in town's a Luka fan and not a Mavericks fan, which is beyond frustrating for me. Yeah, but I think I think the subscription is doing well. I mean, there's a bunch of them out there that I talked to. Yeah, I did. I want to watch all the games. For me, it's.
I would be really interested. Baseball's so hard. They don't give you any financial information at all. They keep everything so secret. But I'd be very interested to find out the different iterations of what teams are doing and what's working.
Yeah.
Because again, the audience is there, available to sell the programming. There's lots of it. That's why these regional deals were so huge, because they made money. The YES network makes $600-700 million a year.
God, I know.
It's. I mean, think about it. You're getting a 5-6 rating, which is huge these days for Yankees games, and you got 4 spots every half inning that are selling for $5 to $8,000 a piece, start doing the math. I mean, it's a lot of freaking money. And for the Rays, that's, at much lower scale, but it's still there, still very much there.
So how do you think something like that would work in Tampa Bay and Tampa St. Pete, where you download a free app, but in order to watch 140 Rays
they have
games,
the FanDuel app now.
Is that what it's on?
Yeah, it's on the FanDuel app.
You have to pay for it?
You get, it's at $20 a month.
Okay.
And you get the Lightning and the Rays. I mean, it's well worth it. It's well worth it. But the FanDuel is also on Spectrum. So if you have Spectrum, you can get the Lightning and the Rays. So there's different ways to do it.
Gotcha.
I got Spectrum, so I don't need the app. But I bought the app last year. I think it was last year, and the app didn't work very well. It was just very clunky. Did not
probably gets overloaded too. I bet.
Yeah, exactly. So they're still trying to figure it out. The broadcast is great. I mean, the crew is absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Everybody loves watching them. But it's the delivery systems that are just so scattered. And, people, when you gotten something for free for so long, it's hard for people to pay. For $20 a month, I mean, it's not that much money to pay for Rays and Lightning.
That's basically what we're doing here. We're just paying it all up front.
All up front. Yeah. So I think eventually that model will work. But people get used to it. It's just, it's getting used to how things are delivered. And you sit there and you say, I want to watch the games. Well, if you want to watch them at home, you got to pay $20 a month. It's not that much money. I mean,
that's cheaper than going to a bar for every game and running up a $20, $30 bar tab, or in my case,
we highly recommend going to Riveters and watching the games.
Yes, watch it at Riveters.
Absolutely. But yeah, it's just a lot of different things. I'll be interested to see how this Channel 44 deal goes down here locally. In fact, I got to call my man Greg Blackburn, who runs Channel 44, where I used to work. That's why I came here working for Channel 44. They used to have a news program. They used to do the Bucs games too.
Yeah,
I worked for 44 doing Bucs games for a few years as well. So yeah, it's a changing landscape, but the value is there. And once these new ownership groups look at it and they know they figured it out, or at least they know that the value's there. But how much is it? That's the thing. You don't know. You don't have a contract in front of you and says, oh, we get $75 million, $85 million a year in our regional sports network. That's now the deal that Sternberg did originally and got a lot of that money up front, according to the lawsuit, which he got like $450 million up front, something like that he put into another company that his partners didn't like, pissed everybody off. Mm-hmm. That's the lawsuit. That was the last big regional sports deal, and Sternberg was smart to get that money up front before they all went belly up. So yeah, it's very complicated, but the bottom line is there's value. There's value to these teams in terms of all this programming, and these new owners will want to tap into that. Absolutely. In the 10th largest market, you have a baseball team that's getting a 2-3 rating every night on cable, the top cable show. And you have basically a 4-hour programming block, 4 to 5 hour programming block, pre and post game shows to sell advertising. It's a very lucrative piece. Yeah. So you just got to figure it out.
JP, let me say hello to some locals here. Jonathan Torres comes on. I haven't seen him before here on the broadcast. He says he lives in Dallas. The Rangers have fallen off the map as far as sports fandom here. I agree 100%. Jonathan, welcome.
Maybe it's because they're not on TV anymore.
It's probably because they're not on TV
huge part
anymore.
Of it.
More right Rudder says he had a flight. He's just now joining us. Huge win from Texas hockey last night. Lightning series kicks off tonight. Yeah, I showed the replay of the game, overtime game winning goal a little bit earlier. Welcome back, more right Rudder. And then he says 8:45 Central puck drop is brutal. It's actually 7:30, 7:45 Central.
Yeah, it's
8:45
Eastern.
Yeah, Mario corrected us here too for that. So yeah, welcome into the chat, you guys. Appreciate everybody popping on.
Yeah, but just don't wait till last minute to get to the Lightning game. All right, if you're going, by the way, there are tickets available. There are plenty of tickets available without the Ticketmaster surcharge, by the way. So yeah, these are original issue tickets, not scalper tickets. So you can go on.
Oh, he was talking about the Stars game last night, is what he says for the puck drop. That's correct. Yeah. Okay.
Daniel's similar to the Orioles 2 years ago. I shouldn't have put that one up because it depended on
context.
Messages where I effed that up. Let's go back to the top, shall we?
Yeah, let's start over.
A hell of a show. All right. John Hill says Lightning have lowered seat prices in the Channel Club from $4.95 to $4.25 yesterday to $3.75 this morning. Original issue tickets unsold in all levels. Of course, resale scalpers have tickets listed as well. I wonder if that's because of the late start. Probably.
And it's a Tuesday night.
Thanks, NHL.
School's still in session.
Bucks Rays Bolt says, Lightning, we need to be loud and strong. This is the game to win. Yeah. I mean, take a nap if you have to.
Yep.
Because it's going to be late. It's going to be late. I'll be doing the post-game show. God, we won't go on till like freaking midnight.
So do I need to start the show tomorrow by myself?
May have to. Yeah. By the way, Dave Randorf is going to join us, scheduled to join us tomorrow at 10:10 in the morning. Recap tonight's game. So, yeah, be a quick turnaround for him as well.
Nathan?
Hello, Nathan Elliott. Good morning to you.
Hey, thanks for the birthday shout out on Facebook, by the way. I don't know why I didn't see it until last night. It's like over a week old, but he did a nice Tuwaka shot for me for my birthday.
Thank you. Very well. Paolantoni from Cafe Paradiso is in there. You got plenty of free advertising today from Sal Paolantonio. Yeah, absolutely. We love Sal. Nathan Elliott says, there you go, Sal. Go for it. Not at 19, second round. Great call on Jahad Campbell. He ain't going to be there in the second round. No way. No way. Daniel Rivera says, Sal is also accomplished author. Started as a newsman, wrote a book on Frank Rizzo. I have to read that. I highly recommend it. Also wrote a book on the Philly special. Yeah, absolutely.
By the way, JP, during Sal's interview, I had a text from our buddy, the great, legendary Norm Hitzges, who is buddies with Sal. He says, please tell, he was watching. He says, please tell Sal hello for me. I didn't see it until after we were done with Sal. So
I will pass it along to it.
Yeah, we need to accommodate that somehow. I apologize, Norm.
Sal just texted me, so I have to check on that.
Tell him that Norm in Dallas says hello. We missed him. Could have had them both on. That would have been great.
Well, we can do that in the future.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, Sal texted, that was just great. Thank you. Please call me anytime. Love you, brother.
Wow.
Love Sal,
go.
pal. Yeah, we're going up to New Jersey to do the NFL.
God, how great.
Richie P says the draft gurus are bonkers this year. Chris Sims has Kyle Williams, wide receiver 2, Hunter, wide receiver 1, and CBS Sports has Trapasso ranked James Pierce Jr. over Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter.
That sounds weird. Yeah.
Listen, beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
Who's right? Who's wrong? These draft gurus are wrong all the time, and they're right some of the time. So it's a crapshoot. That's what you guys may notice. We don't. I love doing draft talk, but I'm more like, tell me who you drafted, and then I'll go look at the tape. I mean, so much of this stuff, it's like the old high school recruiting days. It's just you don't know, and everybody's speculating, and you can look at tape and get some idea of guys, but you don't know what their character is. You don't know, by numbers, the greatest kicker in the history of college football was a complete bust.
Yeah,
and the Bucs drafted him in the second round,
and he was out of football after 3 or 4 years after that.
He did anything more objective than kick the ball through the uprights. Wow, this guy did it really well for 4 years, better than anybody in the history of college football. He was a complete flop.
He's no Mike Vanderjack.
I mean, it's just and you guys got guys that weren't drafted that become Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bananas.
That's awesome.
The best player in the history of the league. Everybody passed on 6 times. Tom Brady. I mean, that's the draft. Bucks need more pressure from the interior D line. 3 guys locking up 4 or 5 guys. Nathan Elliott has been on this defensive tackle kick.
He has.
Man, he is like, and I don't disagree with him. But we got 2 really good ones.
He's going to be pissed when the Bucks go defensive end at number 19.
Well, he shouldn't be. But I think they should get a defensive lineman in the first 3 or 4 picks as well. So, Rick says UCLA linebacker is Captain America, bioengineer major. That's Schlesinger.
Yeah.
Schlesinger. Yeah. Like him. Like to see him in a Bucs uniform.
So if he's Captain America, does that mean he's 97 years old, like Captain America?
Yeah, what's his real age?
Yeah, exactly.
He can't bring the shield on the field. Sorry.
No.
Nathan Elliott says, will Scott Reynolds be at the Welcome to the Crew event at the Advent Health Training Center Friday before Pewter Report starts at 6? I believe he will be. I might even be there. I don't know yet. looking at my schedule. By the way, the 50th anniversary events are out on Twitter. I retweeted them. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on, including that thing. If you're not a season ticket member, this year would be a really good time to get it. Yeah. Michael LaRue, good morning to you. Paul Porter will be at all Lightning and Magic games for the first round. His last Magic game this year will be the final of his career. That is true.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. Yeah, I don't know why, but that's a loss for them because those two arenas, his voice is synonymous with those arenas. With them. I mean, we got some great guys that fill in when he's not there, but it's just not the same. It's like when they replace me, it's not going to be the same. It's just not.
Never. Imagine the ratings increase.
David Terry says Hagel is a game changer. I do agree. He could be the difference in the series. Jeremy says, I got my tickets. I'll be there. Go Bolts. Come say hello, partner.
I had to clarify the day that you were gone that Johnny and I were on the air here, and then maybe when Tito was on, Jeremy kept texting, and I was like, Jeremy, is it Jeremy Lau or Jeremy Lowe?
I don't know.
He said, I'm not related to Brandon. So I said, okay, it must be Lowe.
He's related to Nate.
Right.
And Josh. Okay.
Now we know.
John Hill says JP has joined the NHL Stat Nerd Club. Well, those stats stood out. Did they not?
Yeah.
That was like one of the most craziest.
And they're fun.
Why is Tim wearing a Panther red hat? Well, after all those stats, 50-50 balance.
It was my FanStream Sports red hat.
Yeah,
it's not Panther red.
It is Panther red, though.
By the way, I also wore this earlier in the show.
That's right. He had that on. So maybe you should go back to that. Let's see that.
Gig 'em.
Trash. Jonathan Torres says Stu is trash for that. I read that and thought you're literally profiting off of garbage, and that roof has sat there untouched for months. Shameful. Talking about them selling pieces of the roof. It is such a bad look. It's
kind of cheap looking.
Listen, the dude has tried to profit off the hurricane as much as possible. That's who he is. That's what he does.
Profiteer.
Yes.
He's a war profiteer is what he is.
Rick says, JP at Yankee Stadium, please, gentlemen, you have the hallway in his head. I would totally go Steven Seagal if they looked at me. I wasn't making eye contact with any of them. I was just looking down at my shoes like, don't hurt me, please. Do not hurt me.
As they start to walk past him in the hallway, JP's reaching into his jacket like this.
No. No, it's like I'm like hands up against the wall. Like,
turn around with your hands against the wall like they can just frisk you as they walk by.
John Hill says, Ash, I understand that JP asked Santa for some roof material. No, I did not. When they get ready to implode the Trop, he's going to sell the seats, sell the urinal,
everything,
the urinal cakes,
like it's old Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
Get your memorabilia now from the Trop. All the memories.
New owners of the Rays, yes, with Stu, absolutely now. Yeah, exactly. Listen, that's the whole thing. When you get new ownership, it's going to open up a lot of possibilities from a political side, because there will be support for these guys, and it's a lot easier to do a deal than it would be to do a deal with Stu. Everybody knows that. That's why he's out of options.
So if they sold off pieces of the Trop, let's go down that road for a second. Would you rather pay more for a seat or part of the catwalk? What would sell for more? I would think the catwalk would be the most famous thing.
I want the catwalk.
Yeah, because that's the most famous thing in the Trop are the catwalks, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of catwalk, too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of catwalk. I read the new owners of Derby Lane are from Connecticut. Yes, John Hill says they are a private investment company from Connecticut. Yeah, you guys got subscription to the Tampa Bay Business Journal. I don't. Similar to Philadelphia. There's a lot of towns that have a sports complex. It's a great idea. We go to the same place, same mass transit to the same place, all that stuff. Yeah, it's a great idea. In Kansas City is the one where they had the sliding roof. Well, it was planned back in the 70s.
To go across to the football field and then to Kauffman Stadium too. Yeah, we showed an image of that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Jonathan Torres, do we already see? Said I feel like Stu is trying to get investors to sell off portions of the team rather than outright sell. Unfortunately, it feels like the chances of him selling is dwindling. Yeah, he tried that, Jonathan. We reported on this. He tried to sell off pieces. Nobody wants to work with him. His partners sued him and won. He had to settle with them. Nobody wants to no, and there were a bunch of investors that were approached in St. Pete, and nobody why would you invest with him? Why would you give your money to Stu Sternberg when he has had his own partners? And you go look at that lawsuit and see if you want to get into business with Stu Sternberg. We said that when the city was doing the business, was cutting this deal.
Yeah.
And one of the commissioners, one of them actually said it in a meeting, like, have any of you read this lawsuit? Why are we getting into business with this guy? And now you know. Forget who that was, but it was I think it was one of the council women.
Yeah.
Clearly she was the smartest of the group. Rick says, can they skateboard to the games? Crew can use the new Howard Franker lanes to get to the games. That's true.
Rick's in rare form today.
Skateboards. Yeah. All right. Anything else we need? Yeah, we had a flight. I'm just tuning in. Yeah, that was a huge one. Okay, I think we got to everything here. Did we not?
Mario says the most popular Trop item will be the seat that Wade Boggs got his 3,000th hit.
Oh yes, absolutely.
He'll keep that for himself for his private collection.
Yeah, or maybe the speaker that Frank Thomas hit.
Yeah,
that was a blast.
JP, you need to bring some fan stream the merch to the next crew event.
Okay, I'll do that. Absolutely, Nathan. I got to get you a hat. Absolutely. All right, cool. All right, great show today. Big thanks to Sal Paolantonio. If you missed it, great first hour with him. Then we had Scott Reynolds on from the Pewter Report with the draft. Donovan Ezaraku from Boston College. They are all over him for that first pick. I think they might be right. Also, the great Brian Bradley joined us live from Amalie Arena for tonight's game. We saw the whole stadium decked out. It's a hell of a show, Tim.
It's a good show.
Right?
We had to counter out the one last week, all the debauchery and the ridiculousness that I forget. We had two shows last week.
Yeah, there was
Wednesday and Thursday that went downhill really quick. So we're making up for it today.
Really funny.
I went back and listened to that Wednesday show, and I was crying so hard, just laughing. So we're funny, JP.
Yeah, we are kind of funny. There are people that think they're funny, and they're not. And then there's us who actually
are funny. We are funny, and we know it.
Yeah, we do. We'll tell you all about it. Thanks to all the guests. Thanks to all the commenters. You guys are awesome. We appreciate you. Please go visit or tweet at or send them a note. All of our great advertisers, Riveters, Italiano, Golden Diamond Source, On-Site Construction, Third Generation Plumbing, Cafe Paradiso, the Jeeves Law Group, Bay Area Modern Medical Center, all our great sponsors. We thank you. Have a great day, everybody. We will see you tomorrow. Dave Randolph joins us at 10:10 tomorrow to wrap up tonight's game. He'll be just getting off the set. I'm going to brag a little. Oh my God, can you please get rid of that picture?
It's the funniest picture I've ever seen.
Oh,
the funniest picture ever.
Yeah,
so I've got your if you ever want to pop on and do like a blitz for whatever I got this